This video is going to be titled Selena Sardottia needs to Luka Doncic of assassination.
And I'm gonna insert the video of Luka taking the shot, and yeah, it's gonna be great. Hey guys, Nina here.
Hey, and I'm Anya.
And welcome to our podcast. We're finally starting to discuss the Throne of Glass series. And before we start off talking about this amazing book, we would like to mention that there will only be spoilers for these little stories. We'll be discussing plot lines and everything, but we won't be spoiling future books and the Throne of Glass series as a whole.
We might say what our guesses were as we were reading those books, or mention some characterization later on. So if you want to know absolutely nothing, then just be warned. But we do not go into any sort of detail about anything that happens
not
in
at all.
those books.
So if you ask me, there are no spoilers. Literally, just our humble opinions about little things. Okay, of course, we're gonna do the prequel first, which is
controversial.
Oh my gosh, what was that?
Oh my gosh, who let me do this? I can't speak. For some reason I decided to film myself speaking for the internet. I tried to say the word controversial choice to begin with this novella, because as we know, people have strong opinions about which short story, book, novel, whatever you should start this series with.
Yep.
Because technically these are set before the first novel in the series, but according apparently to Sarah J. Maas, even though now we're not even sure anymore, this should be read after at least the first 3 books, but we chose to not do that today because personally I think this is just more enjoyable.
Yeah, well, my experience is actually a bit different. So, the first time that I read the Throne of Glass series was when I was in high school, and I'm 26 now, so it's been a while. And actually, she, lent me the books, and now they're actually mine because I forgot to give them back. But yeah, it's fine. Thank you, Anya. It's fine. So yeah, the thing is that at the time, Anya didn't have the Assassin's Blade, right? Or was it even out at that time?
No clue. I know that I've read it, but I've read it as an ebook, so
I get it, yeah.
I suppose no, it wasn't out, or I just didn't buy it.
Okay. Yeah, anyway, I didn't have it, so I didn't even know it exists, and that's why I just started with Throne of Glass. And then later on, people have told me you should read the Assassin's Blade, blah blah blah, but I just kind of was like, no, but I like it the way it is, it's just I started with Throne of Glass and it was good for me, so why would I change anything? And then this year, well, not this year actually, 2023, I reread the book series because I really forgot a lot of shit. I literally forgot whole plot lines. It's my memory is awful. So I was kind of wondering, should I do the Assassin's Blade? I mean, I never even read it, so this is the perfect time. But I didn't because I kind of knew what happens. Sam's dad, for example, really stuck with me because it is a huge part of who Selena essentially is as a person. So I was just I don't want to read that, I don't want to read this poor, guy who's supposedly really nice and sweet die in such an awful way. Why would I do that to myself? So I just didn't. And now I kind of do regret it just because I don't know why some people are really against reading the Assassin's Blade first. Maybe because the Assassin's Blade is basically a collection of stories. So it's not an actual book in the right sense of the word, right? And maybe you don't get the chance to connect as much as you do otherwise. If it just revolves around a certain plot line and that's the main thing. I don't know. I'm trying to understand why people would have a problem with this. So if anyone is like that, and if you don't recommend the Assassin's Blade first, please let us know, why? Why not?
Right. I just remember that when I read this series, I was basically reading them as they were coming out, so my experience was, I believe I read Throne of Glass in 2013, probably back when it first got popular. then read the next books as they were coming out, and then I stopped at like the book where Kale is the main character because I was just like, I'm not doing this today. And then like the next year I just forgot that this series even exists, so I just sort of did not continue with it, and then I sort of forgot all of the plot. But the one thing I do remember that when The Assassin's Blade came out and I read The Assassin's Blade, I was like, what the hell, why didn't she start with this? Like, this explains so much, this sets up the story so much better, and I also think the stories do connect, and they do tell, like, a full story, and you do get to arguably connect with Selena way more than you connect with her in book 1, so...
Yeah, I agree. That's what I wanted to emphasize, actually. I think that when you start Throne of Glass, I remember when I read it, like, the first time I wasn't annoyed by Selena, because I was, like, 17 years old, so everything she did, I was like, you go, girl, you know, like, you're not childish at all. I agree. I was a rebel myself, so I was like, oh my gosh, Selena is me, you know? But now that I've read it again, and I was like, 25 when I read it again, I was like, oh, well, she is a bit annoying, isn't she? You know, the way she sometimes really does behave like a brat, and, you know, she's a bit selfish and stuff. And, like, eventually, as the books go along, I actually accept her the way she is, and I love her regardless. But when you start a book and when you get to know her as a character, you may wonder, you know, why should I love this main character? She actually seems, you know, like annoying. But if you read this book first, you understand her so much better. I mean, everything she goes through, so many people betray her, the people she thinks are her family or her friends, every single person, it's like insane. And it's so sad that like up until this point, she hasn't even had a normal girlfriend. This is like the first time in the Assassins, you know, when she goes to the desert. Yeah. It's the first time that she actually gets a friend. So that's just so sad, you know? And now my appreciation for Selena is so much bigger.
That's a good point, and that is basically what I was thinking, like what my past self was thinking, like back in high school or whatever. Because, yeah, personally, from the very beginning when I read Throne of Glass for the first time, I remember it was so hyped up, even back in 2013, whatever, it was so hyped up. Everyone on the internet loved this book, on like BookTube, whatever it was at the time. I just heard it's a great book, everyone loves Selena, she's so great, and then I read it and I was like, that's who everyone loves? Like, this person, like, I didn't like her even then, and I was a stupid 16-year-old, you know what I mean? Or 15 or whatever, and like, even at that time, I was just like, it's not good to act like that, I don't like this. So, like, it was already, like, hard for me to continue the series, but since it was so hyped up, like, I kept going, and I do remember that I liked the next books. I think from book 3, I did enjoy them, and I enjoyed Selena a lot more, but true, like, those were my feelings as I was reading these short stories. I was like, damn, there's so much that we should have found out about Selena in book 1. The way she was presented in book 1 just, like, did not make her a likable character. And the way she's presented in this collection does make her a way more likable character. So I just did not get, like, why this wasn't our first introduction, or why didn't we find out a bit more of her backstory maybe in book 1. And yeah, like, that was basically my thought process. Even though I will say, like, it's interesting. I think that when I read it as, like, a teenager, I actually was more judgmental of Selena than I am now. Now that I'm reading this book with, like, a bit more of a mature perspective, I'm like, you're so annoying and you're making such stupid choices, but, like, you're 17 and you had the shittiest life possible, so, like, I understand where it's coming from, and I'll try to not be as annoyed by it. Whereas when I was 17, I was just like, what's wrong with this girl? You know? So I
interesting. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know, with me, I feel like sometimes when I read, I am the person, you know, I am the main character when I read, you know, like, I am her. So it's, like, very easy for me to forget that she's 17, you know. Sometimes I have to kind of remind myself, because in my head, I'm like, well, fuck, you know, everything that she's lived through, the things that happen to her on, like, a daily basis, they're, like, so much happens. It's hard to remember that she's just 17, that her life has just started, because what were we doing when we were 17, you know? Like, certainly not that.
Yeah, no. For me, it was not like that at all. Like, throughout reading this, I could not forget that she's 16 at the beginning and, like, barely turned 17.
Yeah.
Because she's just, like, behaving like such a 16-year-old throughout the whole thing. Maybe I'm just, like, not in the correct audience for this specific series of novellas anymore, because, like, I get it. Like, this is just how 17-year-olds are. But I'm like, oh my gosh. It was just, like, annoying to me at times, her behavior, and also it was still hard for me to suspend my disbelief, because, like, in Throne of Glass, that's a huge problem, because you don't know shit about this girl's backstory. You just know that she's this insanely powerful, super cool assassin. Everyone's shaking in their boots when they hear about her. You know, somehow she's terrorized the entire fucking kingdom, you know, and slaved at the mines, and now she's like this Victor or whoever. I think Victor's are from the Hunger Games. Doesn't matter, you get it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the hell? Champion. like the girl is 17. How did she do all of that? You know, right? Like, it's not even to the point where it's impressive. It's just to the point where it's like, it's just like, regarding the laws of physics and, like, time passing, it's just, like, not possible.
Yeah.
That, like, all of those things happen to her. So, like, at least now we get a bit more of a backstory and it's a bit more realistic. But even now, it was a bit hard for me to suspend my disbelief that up until she's 16, like, in this book she's 16, and she already has this reputation. Like, how many people did this 15-year-old child kill? Yeah. That's fucked up.
Yeah, it is fucked up. But, I mean, it's obvious that Arobin, whatever his name is, like, he really did groom her, you know? He really spent a lot of time just focusing on her. She's his protege, so I don't know. I guess I kind of explained it to myself like that, and I tried not to think about it too much, you know, how much it makes sense. You just have to take it like that, otherwise, I mean, it's a fantasy, right? And sometimes, you know, you have to also remember the author, you know, Sarah J. Maas, she was, 16 at that time. So I remember that when I actually started, like, writing a book when I was 16, just, like, for funsies, and the main character, she was also, like, similar to Selena, you know, in the sense that she was the all-powerful one, she could do everything, everyone feared her. It's like, I feel like that when you're 16, you want to be that, you know, you want to be that main character that's just good at everything. So I feel like Sarah J. Maas, she wanted, like, she was Selena, you know, so she just kind of really inserted all of what she would want to do into that character. Basically. So you can feel that, and that's how, you know, I look at the book and how I take it. So I'm more, like, casual about it. I try not to criticize it. Like, I mean, at 16, writing a book like that, like, respect. When I started, like, that book, I think I gave up after, I don't know, a few chapters, because it just takes so much focus and concentration, and I didn't have that at the time.
Yeah, like, just to make it clear, like, the fact that books even exist, the fact that anyone sits their ass down and, like, writes words and then they get published, like, that's, like, hello. Like, why am I even speaking right now? Like, this is already, like, they should be given an award for just doing that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just
exactly
to make that clear, like, even if I'm, like, criticizing some stuff or shit, I'm fucking impressed that this even exists. Like, the fact that it was written, like, at first by a 16-year-old, like, that's amazing. So, like, of course, even if I do have problems or there's things that I would change, like, I am aware that, like, I can't even get that far.
No, it's completely...
You know? So.
I mean, we're here to talk about it. Even if it's to critique it, like, that's why we're here, right? Plus, I feel like a lot of the audience can also resonate with the positive comments and the negative ones too. So, you know. I guess another thing that I wanted to say before we actually jump into these stories, I want to, like, make a little bit of a tutorial of how to read these books. Just because some people have been asking, actually, on our podcast if we know about, you know, Throne of Glass and what order they should read. People are really confused about this. So there are actually a lot of ways to read these books. One of them is this one, to start with The Assassin's Blade. Then you have Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and Kingdom of Ash. And this is essentially how they were published, you know, so there's like nothing special about that. But then the second order is a bit different, so it starts off the same way. You have the Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, and then you have like Tower of Dawn before Empire of Storms. So in the previous one, Tower of Dawn came second, while here it comes first. Because the thing is that the Empire of Storms kind of ends on a huge cliffhanger, and then Tower of Dawn, it happens at the same time as the Empire of Storms happens. So some people actually read these two together, meaning online you have guides on how to read these books together. I personally wouldn't recommend that, just because I feel like there's so much information, it can be a bit much. But, you know, other people have read it like that and they actually enjoyed it quite a lot. So it just depends, you know, think it over what you think might be better for you. And then, like, when you finish Empire of Storms, you don't want to read Tower of Dawn because it happens at a different location at the same time. You want to continue the story, right? I personally did it in the correct order, so I read Tower of Dawn second, and it was super annoying. Like, because I really just wanted to skip to the final book. I wanted to find out what the fuck happens, how it goes, because that was traumatic. But no, you know, people were telling me you need to read Tower of Dawn. It's actually such a good book, and it is. Honestly, it's up there. But you're gonna enjoy it far better if you don't end on a cliffhanger. So that's that. And then the third order is that you start with Throne of Glass, then you go to Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, and then here in fourth place is the Assassin's Blade. A lot of the characters that are, you know, in Assassin's Blade, like Irene, for example, the first time they get mentioned in the whole series is after the third book, you know? So that's why it's like better if it's placed somewhere in the middle. But I don't think it really matters. I mean, I still think it's better if you read it first, because you find out about them anyway, you know? Does it matter if you found out about them more recently or not? Like, no. Plus, you find out so much about Sam already in the first 3 books, a little bit of Selena's past, so it's like, I don't know, I think it's more enjoyable if you don't know these things. Because honestly, now that I've read this book, it was kind of annoying that I knew a lot of stuff. So anyways, and then you, after Assassin's Blade, Queen of Shadows, then Tower of Dawn, like we said, it's better if you read it first, then Empire of Storms, which ends on a big cliffhanger, and then you can immediately go to the Kingdom of Ash and find out how that cliffhanger gets resolved.
Okay. Yeah, because when I was reading those books, when Empire of Storms came out, Tower of Dawn wasn't out yet, so there was no choice. So I had to read it the way that I did, and that sort of, ruined the experience for me. And same with Assassin's Blade not existing, that also ruined the experience for me. So, like, now that the entire series is out, I would recommend, like, I think the order that is not chronological to how the books came out, but in the order of how it's most enjoyable, because, like, you've told me that, like, because you know so much about those characters that we were introduced to in Assassin's Blade, and you know so much about Selena's past from the original series, like, you were bored, essentially, right? So maybe it's not that big of a spoiler then to read this book first, because, like, it's more of a spoiler to read the series. Yeah. Because then you're spoiled for the novellas, aren't you?
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's interesting to come back to the novellas and, like, finally realize how these characters that you've essentially came to love, you know, how they started off, how they actually met, and you're like, oh, so that's how it happened. You know, it's kind of interesting in that sense. I think it just depends what kind of a person you are, what you prefer. I don't think there's, like, a right or wrong way. You know, whatever you choose, it's gonna make sense. But yeah, just choose the order that will make most sense for you.
Choose wisely, guys.
Choose wisely, yeah. Okay, so I guess now we can jump into the Assassin's Blade, essentially. Sure. So I guess the main characters that this book focuses around are obviously Selena, and then we have Sam, Arabin. Sorry, his name is weird for me.
All of those names.
Yeah, and yeah, Selena's also, honestly, for a while, I actually called Kalena, something like that. Like when I was younger. Now I guess it's Selena, but yeah. We've spoken a little bit about her. Honestly, I fell in love with her immediately in this book. Because we start off with Ben. So this is the man that she had a connection with. They were in a good relationship. He would help her out and stuff. And he had her back and he died. So essentially, Sam and some of the others had to go pick up his body, and I guess they didn't do a good job of it. So Selena, she was just so sad about it. That was super important to her. And I just loved how, you know, she stood up for him, how she cared for Ben, and how she said that she's gonna do it herself. And she did. So I don't know, that was kind of like already a good sign for me of her as a character, how she stood up for what she believed in, and she just, you know, went ahead and did it, even though obviously she didn't even get a permission from a Robin or anyone.
Yeah, like I highlighted the passage about that actually because, yeah, it was clear that what she did, like going back to the scene of the crime, essentially, getting the body, like that was dangerous. Everyone told her no, and then she was like, fuck you all, I'm still going to do it. And like I just wrote here, 15 minutes later, no one stopped her when she slipped out the front gate and into the Silent City streets. I wrote 16-year-olds are just like that. Like,
yeah,
that's like what I mean. I'm get her. And like, of course, that's something that she would do. And I do think that like, it's great. Like, but like, you just know that if she were a little bit older, maybe she would still go and pick up the body, but maybe she would plan it a little bit more or not like be as
impulsive.
Yeah,
like, she's impulsive. Yeah,
true that. Basically, I do like her, and but I'm still like that girl is. Yeah. She's a high schooler. It's fine.
Yeah, I think it also really depends on how you resonate with her. Like, for example, were you like that when you were 16? Like, because I essentially was a huge rebel. Every time someone told me no, I would do the exact opposite, just to like, you know, smack them in the face and be like, yeah, I will do it and I can do it. And you know what I mean? It's like I always had to do the opposite of what people told me to do. So I was like that. So when I read about her being like that, I'm like, yeah, I totally relate to that. So that's why I cannot like her, because if I don't like her, it would mean essentially I don't like 16-year-old me. Oh and gosh. I like 16-year-old me. I was a hell of a good time, okay?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think I was also cool at 16. And I don't know, maybe I was not as rebellious, but I was still like, if people like are really pissed off at something I'm doing that's like not that consequential and doesn't really affect them, like it's funnier if I continue doing it, and it's funnier if I don't give a shit. So maybe I was a bit of a rebel, but I was also a bit sensible, and I was a bit like,
yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah, no, I guess that's like a bit of a difference, because there's still like some times where I was like, maybe an overthinker even back then, where I wasn't like totally impulsive about everything, even though like I was impulsive about some stuff. And I was like kind of like, fuck everyone, I'm doing what I want about some stuff. And that's interesting though, because like, I don't know if you guys listened to our Six of Crows episode, which you should do, and you should read those books, but like, I remember that I was reading those books at 16 also, and I was like, yeah, that's completely reasonable that this teenager is running a fucking bar and like fucking crime gang and like knows how to do all of those things and has killed like a shit ton of people. Like, yeah, of course, that makes sense. But like in this series, I was like, no, Celine, that does not make sense the way that she's acting. And like, I don't know what is the difference, because for those characters, I totally related, even though now I can look back and I'm like, no, none of this is realistic. And in this series, even back then, I didn't relate.
I don't know. Maybe, you know what's the difference for me, I think? I'm not completely sure if this is it, but I think this is the difference. That, I don't know, the phrasing of the characters was so much more subtle in the Six of Crows. They are good at things that they do, and it's just not repeated that many times, for example. But with Selena, it's like she's the best at everything, and it's repeated so many times. And also in her own thought process, she's just kind of cocky. So I think none of those characters are cocky. You know, they know they're good at it, and that's just it. Well, Selena, she is. She knows how pretty she is. She knows how smart she is. She knows, and she just keeps repeating it. And sometimes it's too much. It gets in your face. So you're just like, okay, well, we know that you're good. Just like tone it down. Show us how good you are. Stop saying how good you are. So maybe that's the difference.
Yeah, I think that it's a good point. That's like something that annoyed me. Even I think more about the writing style than about the character. That like we're just being told 3 million times some stuff that, like, I figured out. Like, I know it. It's okay. Like, it's fine. I don't need to hear it again. That's, like, my common criticism, I feel like, for other SGM series, too. And here, even, like, okay, I was prepared for the Selena experience, for, like, how many times she will say that she's the prettiest girl in the universe, and also the smartest, the best fighter, and all of that, which, like, I was ready for that, and also, like, I get it, like, I get that this is part of her character growth, like, there were even moments in this book where she was humbled and, like, found out, like, how much she still doesn't know, and, like, maybe it's not good to be that arrogant, so, like, I got it. But also, like, this is not the only time that this sort of repeating happened. Like, there were so many times during that Red Desert short story where she was just, like, doing something exciting or doing something dangerous, and she was like, Selena, I wish that Sam were here. And the first time I was like, oh, that's so cute. And then the second time she was like, and in that moment, she really wished that Sam could see this. And I was still like, yeah, that's cool. And it was like the fifth time that, I don't know, she went to get lunch or something. And she was like, and at that moment, she missed Sam being by her side. And I'm like, at this point, I'm just assuming that if she's doing anything, she's missing Sam at that moment. Like,
I mean, she probably is. That's how young love is, you know?
Totally. And, like, now I get it. And, like, now it's just, like, permanently in my head that she's missing Sam. Have internalized that, and I do not need that repeated anymore.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's a criticism that I very commonly had with Rhysand, you know? For the guys who've read ACOTAR, you'll get this reference. Like, Rhys, he was just always the best, you know? It's your choice, Farah. You know, that was repeated quite a lot, and that's something that bugged the hell out of me to the point that I actually stopped liking Rhysand. So, you know, I can understand why some might stop liking or not like Selena because she's just maybe too arrogant in that sense, you know, like, yeah. But I think, you know, again, sometimes I just kind of have to remind myself, this is the author's choice, you know, it's not the character. The character still tries to make the best choices, but it's the author keeps praising her, you know, like, I don't know. Yeah. And now that I mentioned ACOTAR, do you, like, realize that I am the Night Court? I mean, not tonight, today. With the black outfit. Well, my darling Anya is obviously Spring Court because of the flowers and, you know. Yeah.
I dressed up today because I feel like that's what Selena would have wanted.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. We have to be in style, okay? Yeah. And like Selena, she also likes to wear black when she goes to murder people. So, you know, I guess I'm in that kind of spirit. You know, let's go and kill some bastards. Well, Anya, she's like...
dancing at the ball.
Exactly, yeah. Right. And being pretty and flirting with the enemies to get them to tell her shit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, where did we leave off? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
About the repetition and Rhysand as well and stuff.
True, yeah. I guess another problem with the writing style, since we're on this topic, like, I'm sorry to just, like, criticize the whole thing, like, you know, to reiterate, like, I'm impressed that this book even exists. But, like, another problem with me was a bit too much of telling, not showing, which is sort of falls, I guess, into the same category. But, like, I had this problem with Lysandra. Is that how you pronounce her name?
Yeah, Lysandra.
Yeah, I guess the first time that we meet her, I think it's, like, the second story to last. And what happens is that we're told, essentially, that, like, Selena fucking hates her and that they have hated each other in the past and that they're rivals, and that's it. And basically Selena is just, like, nasty to her throughout the entire story and just treats her really badly. And I mean, Lysandra doesn't hold back, like, she also, like, says some mean comments to Selena and everything. And, like, in my head, like, I don't know shit. Like, I don't know what Lysandra has done. Yeah. So, like, I
mean, it's mentioned that they've been, like, that they've been competing with each other, right?
Yeah. But, like, the only example was given that, like, I don't know, Lysandra, like, stole her fan when she was 12 or something.
Oh.
And I'm like, all this energy for that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if at least, like, I had some justification that Lysandra is truly, like, a shitty person who has mistreated her the whole time, I would feel a bit more on Selena's side. But, like, from what I've learned of Lysandra, she was basically forced into this life, the same way that Selena was forced into her life. And, you know, they're both young. That's, like, the only kind of life they knew. They were both, like, trained into being, like, the sort of people that they are. And Sam, you know, had to spend a lot of time with her. But obviously he had to spend a lot of time with her because Arabine, like, fucking forced him to do it, knowing what that would do to Selena. And, like, maybe it's because I'm 26, but that was so obvious to me that Lysandra was not, like, an instigator here. She was not at fault here, and, like, you know, obviously she hates Selena, and obviously, like, Sam is cute, so she's gonna be, like, all, like, trying to flirt with him and everything, but, again, I'm like, Selena, come on, you know that Sam's into you. You know who instigated this whole shit. Like, do you need to be that much of a bitch to this girl who is basically as much of a victim of this whole scenario as you are, you know? Like, that's what I mean, like, when I say that sometimes she just wasn't likable, whereas at the same time, I understand that she's just a girl who's 17, and this is something I have to take into account. Like, I can't, like, truly judge her from that mature perspective. So, on one hand, I get it. On the other hand, like, the whole trope of, like, this, like, high school drama of, like, a pretty girl trying to steal your man who's not really your man, but you won't tell your feelings because I don't know why. Like, again, miscommunication for basically no discernible reason besides the fact that they're 17. Yeah, that story was the hardest for me to read because I could not handle that level of drama anymore.
Yeah, like, I think that here it's just some petty jealousy between girls, like, honestly. And, I mean, Selena, she was also bred by Robin, whatever. There was one quote that she doesn't, like, even know how she should see him. As a father, as a brother, as a lover, like, weird, you know, to say that all in the same sentence. She said that if she was, like, a different type of person, maybe, like, in Lysandra's shoes, that she would probably end up being a lover or something. And I'm like, oh, that's so gross. He's the person he's the only example she has. So I feel like she so craves his attention. And Lysandra, she's another pretty girl. She also seems to be quite smart. They're kind of competing for his attention, which is so stupid. And, like, also, you know, the time when she kind of leaves the Robin and then they come to that concert or whatever, and he's with Lysandra, she's sitting with him, and he has a hand on her leg, and that's just so sad to me because people are gonna, like, bet for Lysandra's basically virginity, which is so gross. She's like 17, and he's the one who, like, is gonna do it, right? He actually spends the money Selena gives him to, you know, buy Lysandra, right? So that's just so gross. I was also annoyed at Selena because instead of, like, maybe sympathizing with Lysandra, like, the fuck, she has to bed a man for the first time in that kind of way, and the guy's, what, 40 years old and she's 17? I mean, that's what the fuck, you know? And, like, no, she's just, what? She's just like, oh, that bitch, you know, they're so stupid. And I'm like, girl, like, you know, just think for a second. So in that sense, I'm also, I understand why she would be unlikable, but it's just petty shit, you know? She's just so, like we mentioned, she's a bit self-absorbed. In this book, in the beginning, she really doesn't see past her own problems. Like, it's sometimes,
Not at all. And that's, like, why I had to keep reminding myself that this is also a teenager who is also in a fucked up situation, who truly doesn't know any better. And that the entire series is about her, you know, becoming sort of a better person. And also, like, I don't think you realize a lot of those things when you are a teenager. I mean, I don't remember, like, my entire thought process as I was reading those books for the first time. But I guess, like, the sort of perspective that I have now, I did not have then. Because, like, now that I'm reading it, Arabine, not only is he, like, 40, and not only has he bet, like, 3 trunks of gold on Lysandra's virginity, but, like, he knew this 17-year-old girl since she was a child.
Exactly, that's so gross. How can you even, like, look at her now and sexualize her when you've known her when she was, like, a baby?
That's, like...
That's so... I cannot get that.
That's, like, the creepiest shit ever. Like, he planned that. Like, that's That's fucked up.
That's
And
so fucked
no, I remember like when I was in high school and I was watching Pretty Little Liars and I was like, oh, Ezra and Ari are so cute. Like it's a forbidden romance. And now I'm watching it and I'm like, Ezra should go to jail immediately.
Yeah.
But like you don't have this perspective. You don't get it. So like I kept reminding myself that Selena, she's the same age as Lysandra.
Yeah.
And I feel like she should have been more understanding of Lysandra. It should not have been that much of a bitch to her, but like...
But it
Yeah.
probably goes the same way around, you know? We didn't see her, Lysandra's perspective, but she probably thought the same of Selena, you know?
Yeah.
Both stupid teenagers, I guess.
Exactly. So like... Yeah, I kind of want them both to like act better towards each other, but I also like don't expect them to have like a complete mature perspective on the whole thing.
Yeah.
But like still, even
It's complex for sure, which I like.
Totally, yeah. So essentially, like the criticism I have, I guess, for them both is that like this trope is just like so played out that they like have to hate each other because they're competing for this boy.
I agree with that, yeah. It's annoying. But, you know, eventually, like, they will grow as people. And, you know, that's what it's about. You start at the lowest and then you just go up and up and up. And that's great, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so back to the first story. You know what was a surprise for me? I didn't know that Sam and Selena started off as, like, enemies. The first time when they were at the meeting and they were finding out about Ben, I was like, wait, they don't like each other? Because when I read Throne of Glass, the way she describes him, like he was the sweetest angel boy, you know, like such a good person, like a better person that she ever will be and stuff. I'm like, wow, they must have been like childhood friends. Aww. And then eventually it kind of grew into something more. But no, they actually didn't get along. So I'm just, wow. So that was a surprise, and it was a really good surprise. I was like, wow, that's nice. And essentially enemies to lovers, and that's my favorite plotline. I mean, when it comes to... Yeah.
True, same. I mean, I knew that she and Sam get together. I also, like, know that Sam dies. But yeah, I don't really remember how she was reminiscing on Sam. Like, that's a thing that I forgot about. So I wasn't, like, too surprised when they were started bickering, but I could immediately see, like... But this is like an interesting dynamic, you know, where, you're like rivals, you're like enemies, but obviously there's some feelings behind it, and maybe like one person doesn't even realize that those feelings are there, you know, but obviously there are, and I'm like, yeah, that's...
We live for that.
Yeah.
That's amazing, yeah. So, another perk of this book. And yeah, so essentially they have to go to Captain Rolfe to like do a deal with him. Supposedly he like... His pirates were guilty of killing some of their assassins, but in reality, Robin like sent them there for this agreement about slaves. He wants to buy them, and that did not sit right with Selena, as it didn't with any of us. Slavery just makes me want to throw up. And she's just, not okay with it. So she immediately starts thinking about ways of how to sabotage this. Also, it, like, really shows you what kind of a person a Robin is. Like, he literally sent them there under false pretenses. They essentially embarrassed themselves, you know? Selena, she was all, you know, arrogant. She was like, yeah, you did this and you'll pay for it. And then he reads the letter and it's something completely different. I would be so mad if I were her because she has, like, an image to present. Like, if you think about it, when it comes to negotiations, you have to present yourself as like the superior entity, and a Robin like destroyed that for her. So it's actually bad for a Robin too to lie to her when it comes to making agreements and deals and businesses. You know, like that's not the way to go. You have to tell her the truth, otherwise she's gonna destroy your deal just by not knowing.
Yeah, I agree. Like that part was so stupid that I thought that surely this cannot be his actual plan. I actually thought that maybe the plot twist would be, because I did not remember much about A-Robin as a character at that point. I thought maybe the plot twist is that he sent Selena and Sam knowing that they're against slavery, hoping that they'll destroy this guy.
Yeah, I actually thought of that too.
Right?
Maybe this is suspended. He knows exactly what they'll do because, I don't know, Captain Rolfe is like his competition and he just wants him out of the picture or something. But no. Actually,
he basically set them up. He set them up for failure, and then he was like surprised Pikachu face when they did fail, and then he like got to punish them.
Yeah, I mean maybe that's what he wanted.
Yeah,
like to just kick the shit out of her because he's a sadist, you know.
I guess so.
I mean, the man, like, I hate him so much. I can't wait for him
definitely
to die a horrible death.
Yeah, that does happen, right? No spoilers, but like...
I mean, it has to, right? Otherwise, why are we reading this? The only reason I'm reading this is for him to die, so that I can see that. And, you know, that's another thing. When I met a Robin in Throne of Glass, I didn't hate him. I disliked him immensely, but it's like... It's different when you hear about it, about what happened, or when you actually get to experience it, like, firsthand, you know? It's just so much different. I hate the Robin with a lot of more passion now. Anyways, yeah, Celaena, you could immediately see what kind of person she is. She literally sat in Rolf's office like a boss, went through his papers, and I don't know, I kind of like that swagger a little bit. I mean, she has like an image to present. She's the badass assassin. Like, it's a play. I mean, she actually means it, but you know, it is supposed to be a play as well. And she's all covered up. No one can know what she looks like because, I mean, she's 16. Like, she basically looks like a baby, probably.
Yeah, like, that's insane. Like, this is a kid.
Yeah.
Killing people. That, like, I could not get that out of my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, that scene was, like, kind of fun to me because, like, Sam is just, like, so nervous and he's like, no, don't touch that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But, like...
It's so cute.
Yeah. Like, in that moment, I feel like Selena is right. Like, she'll hear when he's coming in. Like, I feel like she knew what she was doing.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, and it was just, like, fun to rile him up a little bit, so, like, I actually enjoyed that.
I love that banter. And I really loved, you know, Sam, he understood where Selena was coming from, and when she told him about the slaves and everything, he was immediately on board. And, I mean, he understands more than anyone. He was essentially also kind of sold to Robin. Like, his mom, she was a courtesan, so she asked the Robin to just, like, take his son in because she was a Robin's favorite, gross. And he did, and I mean, I guess that's the only good thing that a Robin did, that he, like, took in these children. I know, like, it's a shitty life that he gave them, but I don't know. I mean, however you turn it around, it's shitty, right? Otherwise, he would be on the street starving to death.
Yeah, but, like, yeah, you have to, like, think about his motivations, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
I guess
is
you
it
have
like,
to, yeah.
Yeah, because I doubt that he's doing it out of, like, the goodness of his heart,
obviously
you know?
not. I mean, he wants power. He wants kids to use them.
Yeah.
And, like, then he indebts them and they can't ever, like, leave him unless they get a fortune somewhere. Like Selena does.
Yeah, and, like, plugs them from the kind of situations where they don't know any better and they don't have any other choice.
And it's so gross that, like, he abuses them so much that, for example, Selena, she's so used to this abuse that she doesn't even realize it's abuse. After she destroys the thing with the captain, he beats the shit out of her, and she says that Robin, like, he's so nice that he hurt her just enough so that she can, like, still function or something like that. And that's when you're like, this is so gross. She's just, like, she doesn't even understand this is abuse. She literally thinks that what a Robin is doing for her is a good thing. That's so fucked up. And, like, it's so well written because you get her. You understand why she would think that. Of course, as an outsider, you're like, no, girl, like, no. You need a therapist to, like, you know, to help you sort this out. But yeah, he just messed her up so much. Sam, he's a little bit more independent. He sees a little bit more of himself. He sees how he tries to buy her with the gifts and everything. Selena, she really wants to believe that Robin loves her, you know? Like she said, you know, he's like a father figure to her.
Yeah, it's so sad. Like, in the desert novella, when the monk leader guy, like, punished her and Ansel, or, like, was preparing to punish them for stealing those horses, he, like, went up to Selena and, like, looked at her face, and, like, because we could see Selena's thought process, she was thinking, like, okay, now he's about to hurt me, he's about to hit me. And then he didn't, and then she realized that, oh, he just, like, wanted to hear her out. And she didn't, like, in her head it was normal that, like, yeah, now I'm about to get hit. Like, that's, like, fucked up.
It's so fucked up. And it's also so good that she went through this experience at the desert because she finally, I think, understood that there are different types of leaders. You know, up until this point, I think she really thought, you know, Robin, he's a leader, this is what he's supposed to do, this is how leaders act, he has to discipline us, we have to be obedient. But she now understood that, you know, you can also discipline with kindness, and there are different kinds of ways to discipline someone and, you know, to make them, like, obey you and love you. Like, Robin's way is not the only way. You can be better, and that's what this monk and this desert experience taught her. And I think, you know, Robin, he did send her there to be be punished, but I think she learned a lot, and I think she became stronger because of this experience, and actually he kind of sabotaged himself by doing this.
Yeah.
Because she realized a lot of shit here, and this monk, he was amazing. I really liked him. And I'm so happy that she saved his life.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite novella in terms of Selena as a character. I really enjoyed her there. I really enjoyed her growth. I thought that it was just so great to see her, like, be humbled a little bit and realize that there's still shit she needs to learn.
Yeah,
that there's just so much to the role that she doesn't know. See her, you know, make friends, just like being in a different environment. Like, I really enjoyed seeing that side to Selena. I thought that she was great in this one. And then the next one was a bit of a letdown because, like, she arrived back into the city. You know, she spent the entire previous novella, like, so worried about Sam, like, wondering what happened to him, wondering if he's even alive, like, how he was punished, how he's, like, he was screaming that, like, he will kill Arabin.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe I expected, like, something different from their reunion, but she was basically, like, mean to him because of this girl the whole time, and I was just like, like, I get that it's so hard for her to, like, be a person and, like, express feelings in a normal way, because, like, damn.
But I also
look at
think...
her, you know, upbringing,
Sorry to interrupt. I also think that she's kind of trying to sabotage herself. You know, I think she's just not used to being happy, to being in love, to having something good that's her own. That she's just kind of subconsciously being mean and annoying because she subconsciously thinks that she doesn't deserve it. You know, she never ever had anything in her own life. She doesn't know what love is. She only knows the love that a Robin offers her, and we all know that that's not love. And now she finally has this boy who she has feelings for and who actually seems like a good person, and she doesn't know what to do with it.
That's such a good point. It was so much of, like, self-sabotage and just, like, again, reckless, like, impulsive sort of behavior. And, like, yeah, like, I understand, again, like, with her upbringing, like, it's, like, of course she won't have any emotional maturity. So, I don't just, like, want to shit on her, like, I understand where all of this was coming from, but at the same time, I did feel really sad for Sam a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Because, like, truly...
He doesn't deserve it.
He doesn't deserve it, no.
Yeah.
It's, like, the whole time he spent, like, really loving Selena, and there were times where he said something that, like, he, like, went into this stupid dance just for her, and that he, like, is here just for her, and she keeps treating him like dirt under her shoe, essentially.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's true. That's literally what is happening.
Yeah.
And, like, that's, I guess, the power of love that he, like, kept loving her throughout all of that, because I was like, damn, Sam, like, maybe you deserve something better.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, I completely agree with all of that, and I also felt like that for Sam, but I think I just couldn't, be mad at Selena, because I was actually also a while like her. I was also in a relationship where, like, I was mistreated, and then I finally met my current boyfriend, who's an amazing person. He's essentially a Sam in real life. And I also didn't know what to do with that. I wasn't used to being treated right, and I wasn't used to being with such a good person that I would pick fights, I would be annoying, I would be jealous when he liked a girl's Instagram picture, and I would, like, pick a fight with him over that. So it's like, when she's jealous at Lysandra, and when she's jealous at this whole I'm like, yeah, she's literally just looking for trouble to just destroy it because she's just not used to it. And I'm like, I get it, because I was her, Like, literally, I'm sad my boyfriend isn't here right now so that we could ask him. But yeah, eventually, I guess I got through it, and I just understood that if I don't get my shit together, I will lose him. But yeah, with Selena, I mean, she didn't get the chance,
No, she didn't. And yeah, like, I'm trying to look at the situation from sort of all perspectives, because sure, like, I do understand why Selena is the way that she is, and then at the same time I'm also feeling like it's not like if Sam was maybe a bit more of an asshole to her.
Yeah, like, maybe, it would be easier, of course.
But then I'm like truly, like, he's just doing nothing wrong, he's just, like, being a sweet guy. Yeah, like, maybe it is because me and Selena are such different people, because, like, so often in her thought process she's like, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but basically, like, Sam likes me, and I like him, and I know that this whole situation is orchestrated by Erubing, and that, you know, Lysandra is annoying, but obviously Sam is into me, and then what comes out of her mouth is like, go sleep with that hooker, fuck you, and I'm like, girl, I don't know, maybe she needs a therapist,
Yeah,
maybe she needs to meditate, maybe she needs to talk to Nesta for a little bit.
Yeah, like, I get it, but that's exactly the same thing I would do.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would say. I would think one thing and then I would say it differently because I wouldn't want to show my emotions.
Yeah, true. But maybe if I was like a bit more inside Selena and I was a bit more, you know...
Or if maybe you two
like,
were more similar in, like, as people. You know?
Maybe, yeah.
Because we experience different things. It's like... You know, you can say you understand one thing, but until you live it, you just really don't. And that's what I realized, you know, for example, when my dad died, I would understand when people would tell me that they lost a parent. I would understand and I would feel for them and I would even cry for them. But I didn't really understand. It's like, you know, I feel like we think we understand. And I know you're a super empathetic person, and so am I. But we just really don't until we experience some things. Like, it's just sad. You can never understand.
No, yeah. Like, there's some things that I definitely have not gone through, and, like, it's... Thank God I have not gone through them.
Yeah.
And, like, as much as, I try to see what it's like, yeah, like, of course I know that, like, I won't. So, like, I mean... But I also, like, don't want to say that, like, I have never been impulsive in my life, and I have never said, like, a mean thing without thinking, or never said anything that's... different, the opposite of what I thought. No, like, of course I've done those things. So, like, maybe as I was reading this today, I was just, like, more thinking about, like, how hungry I am.
Yeah.
Like,
it depends. Like, it depends what mood you're in.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it depends on so many things when you read a book. Like, we've discussed this also in other episodes. Mood is everything. You have to be in the right mindset. Otherwise, a perfectly amazing book can be actually really awful. And the other way around, too.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I guess now we'll return to the first story, I guess. But it's like, we're not talking in chronological order, obviously. We're just talking to whatever comes to mind, whatever we feel passionate about at the moment.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, I think, to me perfectly. So, yeah, anyways, I mean, there's not, like, really much to say. In this story, she realizes that Sam, there's more to him. They finally get along. You know, they collaborate, and they do a great job. They free the slaves, you know, and that's the important part here. And it was a really good sequence. I liked it. You know, I liked their plan. I liked everything that went down. And I really loved how she distracted Captain Rolfe with her age, essentially. She took off the mask, and he was positive that this was some kind of treachery, but no, she is Selena, you know.
Basically.
And I love that she used that against him, you know. His shock was literally... It paralyzed him for a second there, that he forgot about, you know, what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, good strategy. If it works, then...
Yeah. I mean, it was the only thing that she had, like, left in her arsenal. Like, what else was she supposed to do?
Look over there!
Yeah. A more basic option for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what is that?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, they did a good job. I'm glad that they freed the slaves. It was amazing. And of course, like later on in the next story, she actually is kind of already in this miserable town.
Yeah.
And we actually start with another perspective, I think. The first chapter is with Irene.
Yeah.
She's like this healer girl, but you know, her mom, she was literally burnt alive. She's like from a different province or something, but she moved away because after everything that happened, she kind of had to run, and she ended up working at this like inn as a bartender, and it's just awful. Her boss is awful, her, you know, co-workers are awful, everything is just super shitty in her life, and she essentially wants to go to the Torre Cesme, which is like a healer's like academy, I think. You train there and you become like a super amazing healer. But she has like literally no resources, no money. The money she makes at the end is just miserable. So I think that at this point she really thinks she's gonna stay there forever. And you know, from her perspective, we find out that there's this like mysterious girl hanging out at the inn, wearing all black. She has a lot of money, you can see, and she's just like pouting in the corner. And of course that's our Selena.
Yeah.
And yeah, we realized from Selena then that basically Robin, he sent her to the Red Desert, which we've already discussed, as a punishment. And now she has to stay in this miserable city for a while to wait for her, like, transportation. And she's just, like, sad about it. And yeah, and he beat the shit out of her. And Sam, we don't know what's going on with Sam. So God knows at this point.
Yeah, just a shitty place to be, physically, mentally, just the whole thing
What did you think about Irene, by the way?
I enjoyed her a lot. I truly enjoyed getting a different perspective in this book. That, like, now sounds as if I'm shading Selena, but, like, it was like a breath of fresh air.
But no, it is, for sure, just like in any book, I think.
Totally. It's just, like, nice to see a perspective of someone from this world who is a bit more of a normal person, I suppose, who's just, like, trying to get by.
That's also refreshing, yeah.
And how Selena, like, appears to, like, this sort of person.
Yeah, that's
interesting. Interesting. So, yeah, I was totally, like, rooting for her to, you know, get out, to change her life. And that's also, I feel like, something that most people, I feel like, could relate to. Feeling like you're stuck and you don't know how to, like, get to a situation where... To
the place where you want to be, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I agree with that. Yeah, I liked Irene a lot. I liked her perspective. I was kind of shocked, you know, when we got this other point of view. I was like, well, that's amazing, because I always love books with lots of point of views. Like, that's not confusing to me or anything. I just want to see different perspectives. And yeah, like, basically, Selena, essentially, she saves Irene when she, like, almost gets, I guess, these thieves, they were trying to steal her money and stuff. I mean, the money, like, the little money she has, awful. And yeah, Selena, essentially, she teaches her some stuff, and she's just such a good person that she sees Irene, that she's a good person and she's a healer, and she's like, the world needs more healers. And she kind of leaves money with her and the necklace she had, I think. And that's so good. And I love that so much. There was like this quote after she left Irene. She said something like that maybe one day she will return to their continent and, you know, she would kind of help save it or something like that. And I just want to... No, actually, I can't say shit right now.
I wonder if this is foreshadowing of any kind. That would be so crazy, you guys, if that's foreshadowing. That has never happened in books before.
All I'm gonna say is, and maybe you should cut this part out in the middle that I just write, because it is spoilery.
Not really.
It isn't, right? I mean, people are smart. You guys are smart,
I mean, if you read this sentence and you think, oh, that means nothing, then, like, I don't know what to say to you.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it definitely is meant to be interpreted
then
the way that you interpret it.
I didn't screw anything up. Anyways, what I also love about this whole book is the foreshadowing. And I guess that's why it's maybe also good to read it like after you've already read everything, like from this perspective, I suppose, because you know, and then when you read this for the first time, you're like, oh, I see what you did there, you know. And it's kind of interesting to see those little tidbits, you know, because I guess you can see how the author connects everything, you know, and that's always a good thing, you know, how you can see that the author really overthought this shit, that she really knows what she's doing, and that's, you know, a compliment to Sarah J. Maas, you know, a good job on that.
But I don't think it will ruin it for me, because, like, that's the point of foreshadowing, right? That there's, like, a little hint, and then later on...
I mean, it wouldn't ruin it for you, but it also makes, what I'm trying to say, it also makes the other order enjoyable.
True.
You know, whether you start with this, or if you read it after the third book, you know?
Yeah.
In that sense.
But yeah, anyways, if we return to this novella, I really enjoyed how unhinged Selena was in this one. Like, that's kind of what I hope to see even more of, is that, like, in this novella, like, even she was aware that she's not acting rationally, and that she's, like, obviously hurt and messed up by everything that happened, and she's just, like, itching for a fight. She's ready to kick some ass. She knows, like, that's the thing, she knows that what she's doing is irrational. She's still, like, fuck it, I need to be self-destructive. And that's, I enjoy reading characters like that. I wish we got even more of this Selena, where she's not cocky and still doing impulsive shit. She's like, I feel like doing impulsive shit, so I will do impulsive shit.
Yeah,
like,
she's aware.
That's even more interesting to me.
Yeah, that's true. Because I agree with that. That the characters, they know themselves, you know, like, essentially, they know that what they're doing is not okay, and yeah, they do it anyway, because that's just where they're at. Yeah. You know? shit's going down, right? Their life sucks. I agree with that one. And I agree that I enjoyed that part of Selena too. And hopefully we will get more of it.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah, and is there anything else about this novella in specific that you would want to mention?
No, I mean, it was quite short. Basically, we got introduction to this character. I wonder if anything more would happen with that, but that's the whole thing, basically.
Irene, all I'm going to say, I love Irene. And just another thing that I want to emphasize is how amazing is Selena. You know, this is just another way of, you know, seeing who she is at her heart. You know, she might be arrogant and she might, you know, sometimes appear like a bit annoying, but she has such a good heart. You know, she didn't need to leave that for her, and she did. And the note that she left her, I found that to be very touching. The world needs more healers, because it's true, you know, it has enough assassins. And yeah, anyways, and then she moves on, she goes to the Red Desert, and we've already kind of discussed this a little bit. Another thing that I really liked in this novella was how she fired the shot with her arrow, bow thingy, and she waited longer. And so she told her she has 20 minutes, but no, she gave her 1 minute more. And that was such a good moment, and it will probably also be important later. And the monk, you know, he also saw that, and he kind of appreciated that about her. You know, how she let her go, essentially. She had mercy, and he saw that as a strength and not as a weakness. And that's another lesson right there.
Yeah. That's the thing about fantasy. Like, sometimes things are so dramatic that it's like, I just have to suspend my disbelief a little bit and just, like, get into it. Because, like, of course she'll make that shot from, like, I don't know how many
she's
kilometers.
Good at everything, Anya.
Exactly.
That's why she is the assassin.
She is the Adderlands assassin. She is the best. Of course, she can fire a shot, like, in deserts, gajillion miles away.
I mean, think about it like this. Luka Doncic, yesterday, he had, like, a game in basketball. Obviously in basketball. No, a game in fucking, handball? Oh my god, okay. And there's this, like, video of him scoring 3 points from, like, this. Like, from, you know... Basically, for anyone who isn't watching the video, he's scored 3 points with his back turned to the basket, you know? I mean, who does that? You know what I mean? He's just so good. He's so trained that he can do that. So it makes sense that she might do that with Nero.
This video is going to be titled Selena Sardotian is the Luka Doncic of assassination.
And I'm gonna insert the video of Luka taking the shot, and it's gonna be great. I can already see it happening,
The only person who could do that. So, but I'm not even saying that as a bad thing. I'm like, give me the dramatics. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's great. Yeah. That's great.
Perfection.
Yeah.
Anya, you love drama. Like, we've actually, any book we've discussed, she's like, yeah, but I love drama. And I'm like, Because I think that in the last book we've discussed, I actually said that something was overly dramatic for me. And you were like, yeah, but I love drama. So it's like, it's interesting. And here you're like, it was too dramatic. And I'm like, it's fine. You know, it's so weird. I don't know.
But still, like, I understand that it's cheesy, but I'm still like, fuck it. Like, I'm reading a story. This is a fairy tale. Like, let's fucking go. No.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, for me, the only drama that I don't like, it's not even this. It's like the Lysandra Sam situation where I'm like, this shit can be resolved if people just, like, sit down and have, like,
that was unnecessary,
Yeah.
And I think maybe, like, she wanted us to remember that she's a teenager and the teenage shit is happening in her life. But I think we've had a lot of situations in which she has shown us that. So I think this was unnecessary. You know, we already know. It would actually be more powerful if after the Red Desert she, you know, maybe sees Lysandra in a different light.
True, because, like, basically, I agree that, like, in Red Desert she had so much growth, and maybe that's, like, why I expected her to be a bit different. And, of course, that is even still realistic, because, like, I don't know, in real life, like, you go through difficulties, like, you learn some lessons, you fuck up, you learn something, but, like, it's not just, like, linear. You just don't, like, learn something once and then you're, like, perfect at it. Like, maybe it is realistic that even though, like, she's been through Red Desert and she's a different person, that still, like, takes, like, some time to, like, I don't know, change and to, like, not make the same mistakes.
It doesn't just happen overnight, for sure, I agree. So anyways, a sad also thing for me in this story is that she befriended Ansel. She was her first, like, girlfriend. She'd never had it. And then she betrayed her. And, you know, you could kind of see, I guess, a bit of foreshadowing in the way Ansel was, like, talking about these assassins. Like, you know, how they fight and train, but they don't actually do anything. You know, they don't help anyone. And if she could, like, if she had the power, she would help, you know?
Yeah.
Because Ansel, she basically comes from the land of the witches. And the witches are also very important in future books. Personally, I love the witches. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I don't think I've ever loved like witches better than I love them in the series. They're like that good to me because they're just so complex. And you have the Krokans, again, I'm sorry for the pronunciation, which are kind of the beautiful, nice witches. And you have the Iron Teeth. You know, they literally have claws. I think their teeth are, obviously iron. And they're just scary and mean. And they actually overtook the kingdom from the Krokans. But then the Krokans cast a spell on it for like nothing to grow on that part of the world. And yeah, they kind of screwed them over with that. And well, essentially, Ansel, she wants to kind of get that kingdom back and restore it and make it beautiful again. So she kind of strikes a deal with this lord, and she has to kill the master, the mute one, and he'll help her, like he'll give her an army and stuff. But of course, Selena stops that from happening. She saves everyone, and and it was a good like thing that she showed her mercy, but sad, that she betrayed her.
Yeah, shit, that was so sad, and I kind of saw it coming from like the moment where she gave her like that wine. Like I could tell that something is off. That something is not okay. So I didn't have those suspicions from the whole complete beginning. I thought that maybe, there would be like rivals for a little bit, but she actually made like a nice friend. Like, good for her.
Yeah, and they stole the horses.
Yeah.
That was a cute moment.
Yeah, but no, then like I saw where it was going, and that was fucking sad. I actually, like, I think I, like, even wrote down that, like, I don't know if I would have spared her in Selena's place. Like, so it's like
Anya, she's merciless, you know?
Yeah, like, I mean, she killed, like, a bunch of people. She's the reason that a bunch of those assassins died, and, like...
that's sad, and
like,
they, like, weren't bad people.
No, not at all, and... Yeah, like, in that moment, like, I was in Selena's shoes, and I'm like... Fucking like it was just I was totally sad for her that like the first time she has a friend like this happens. Like that's got to like fuck you up.
I was like, fuck Ansel.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not even the start of it. Like betrayal is like Selena's middle name at this point. It's just sad. So that's why, like, even again, like after reading The Throne of Glass, now I'll understand even like more. When I reread it again, I'm gonna get her even more. Yeah, anyways, moving on. What did you think about, like, after she returns? I mean, we've discussed this a little bit already. Sam's and Selena's relationship after she returns. But is there, like, anything else that you would add? Like, how did you like them together?
For me, Sam and Selena, like, at the beginning... We've also discussed that, but I thought it was, like, super cute that they have, like, this rivalry, but obviously there's more behind it, and we will see that there's more behind it, so, like, I was into it, I was shipping, I was, like, wanting to see more. I thought, again, that it was so touching that she kept, like, thinking about him back in the desert, that, like, the punishment that Arabin had was for Sam to watch her get beaten up.
Damn, that was also pretty brutal.
Like, that shit.
And the thing that when he was sending for his people, she thought he was sending for them to beat Sam up.
Yeah.
But no, like, actually his motivation was even more fucked up than that.
Exactly. And, like, at that moment I was like, Sam really, really, really cares for her.
Yeah.
Like, I think that whole rivalry... Jesus.
I love it.
It was, like, so one-sided, I feel like Sam never actually, like, wanted to...
He was just frustrated that he couldn't, like, have her or something. Like, boys, like, in primary school, and the more they tease you and pick on you, the more they like you. That kind of way.
Was he even, like, teasing her at the beginning?
I mean, he was kind of mean to her, He was kind of mean to her at that initial meeting, and he would, like, always just kind of roll his eyes at her, and she would annoy him, but I think she would annoy him because he just couldn't have her, like, that kind of way. He was frustrated.
Yeah.
Like, boys will be boys.
I guess then, it was a bit two-sided at the beginning, for sure. basically up until like the desert, I really liked them. I had like high hopes for them. But again, this fourth novella, like, kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, just thinking that Sam like does not deserve the treatment that he's getting, and that it just, I don't know. I didn't love it, but like at the same time, like as we've said, it's not like I can just like hate Selena for everything she's done, because like no, with the kind of environment that she had,
Yeah.
like it makes sense for her to act that way.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, like I've explained already before, it kind of didn't ruin it for me because I just understood her so well. And I also believe that Sam understood her. You know, I think that he really, like, he doesn't know everything about her past, but he did grow up with her. He knows what they went through, and they're both just kind of dealing with what they went through in different ways. And he just sees in Selena that she's just dealing with it in a different sense. So I don't think he's actually really taking it personally. You know, that's why I think he loves her despite her behavior, because he just knows that what they've both gone through, it's fucked up, you know? He's just so full of empathy, I think. And I mean, essentially, like, you could say, okay, yeah, but he deserves better than that. But, like, you know, they're both going through it and they're gonna grow through it. And I feel like eventually they would have, and Selena would, you know, get her shit together and they could have lived happily ever after. And I'm just so sad that it had to go the way it did, you know? It's heartbreaking.
True. Damn. If they had more time, then
Yeah,
that's the
exactly.
thing. Yeah.
They needed more time, you know. They like, you know, sometimes you also have situations where two people are just not right for each other at that moment. You know, either because one is just not ready, like for example, in this case, maybe Selena isn't ready emotionally, she's just not there yet. But then, you know, maybe years pass and they kind of get together and now they're ready, right?
Yeah.
But here, yeah, I mean, he died too soon. And, like, let's just jump into that last story, I guess, because we've discussed Lysandra and this, like, plot line
But
a
like
lot.
I want to discuss something from...
Yeah, of course.
Like another thing I do want to discuss from this novella was like the actual plot of the novella that's not like the love relationship-y part of it, was that she had to like go onto this mission to retrieve this document because she was told that they,
Shit, yeah.
you know, were planning to blackmail everyone who was against slavery to support slavery, essentially. So she was like tricked into killing this guy, thinking that he's an evil monster who wants slavery. And like, I want to know, like, have you figured out that something is shady over here or not?
I mean, I did, just because it's a Robin. He knows that she's against slavery, so of course he wouldn't send her to kill a person who's on her side, you know, like, he knows that she wouldn't do it, so of course he had to lie to her. Plus, he apologized to her with all of those gifts and all of that. And that was also just another thing that saddened me. Sam, he said to her, like, so now he's buying basically your forgiveness with gifts. And she's like, well, he bought you off too. But he literally told her then that he bought him off by telling him, like, he would never hurt her again. I mean, that's just... Oh my gosh, that's so heartbreaking. And then, of course, she feels bad about it. But again, can't help understand her. She has such conflicted feelings about a Robin. She, like, still kind of in her head, she believes that this is some kind of a love. She's just so fucking deeply messed up in that way.
Yeah, she kept being delusional until she was, like, literally, like, in shackles, like, in prison, like, still, like, no, but, like, he'll save me, like, it wasn't him. And, like, damn.
It's so sad.
Like, it
Fucking
is so sad. Like, yeah, even in this story, like, she already saw that things were shady. His partner, you know, died without telling her shit. Yeah, like, he poisoned himself and, like, burned the documents, and she was like, that's so shady, like, if he was for slavery, he wouldn't do that. Anyway, I'll go and get these documents to Arabic and do the thing that he wants me to do, even though this situation is shady as fuck.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, that's, like, anyone else in this moment would realize Arabic planned the whole thing, like, against me. I should not give those documents, but, you know, even though, like, I figured it out, I was still, like... But, like, of course, she's so brainwashed that she would do that. So brainwashed. Yeah.
She's so brainwashed. It's, the cycle of abuse is just so fucked up. I read an article about, like, about the cycle of abuse, how you don't see it's happening to you, and, you know, you just keep protecting the person who's abusing you. And this is, like, basically This is basically
an
it.
example.
Yeah. And it's well written. Like, cheers to Sarah for this, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
And she still manages to, like, make him sympathetic at times, or make him, like,
crazy, right?
charming at
that
times.
Even I was like at times, fuck, well, what if he actually does care for her? I want to believe that he does, because I want Selena to have that, you know, like, that she's not wrong about it. I want it for her, you know, like, he's still an asshole and he still deserves to die, but I don't want her to be wrong about this, because she will be so heartbroken.
Exactly. Like, one moment he's, like, not even, like, paying attention to her, like, reading those little documents with tea, like, letting her wait for him for I don't know how long to pay attention, and then next moment he's like, you're my best assassin, you're my best girl, I will, like, give you all the gifts, I will give you, like, the best jobs and everything, and then Selena's like, oh no, he does love me, and it's just, like, so heartbreaking, because, like, exactly, like, this character is so charismatic that even you're at times like, but he did say that he loves her.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's so fucked up. She did such a good job at that, I think. And I actually wanna, now that we're speaking about him and his charisma and stuff, I wanna say that this is like how I imagined a Robin in my head. So I watched a movie a while ago. It's from 2016 and it's called Assassin's Creed. And there's this like main character. The actor is, by the way, he's a pretty well-known actor. Michael Fassbender. He even has red hair.
Ah, that guy. Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Future Anya, put a picture somewhere.
And also, I think I will be actually making a reel about my fan cast, perfect fan cast for this book series. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, cool. That's a great reason to follow our Instagram, right?
Yes, follow us, bitches. Oh my gosh, he is a Robin in my head, and he is like so charismatic. And the fact that he plays a literal assassin in this movie, I mean...
Okay, yeah.
That's him. Like, if anyone ever makes a movie out of this, a TV show, I mean, like, look at him. And he's hot. Because, like it or not, like, a Robin in my head, he's hot, sadly. The evil men are always hot.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a Sarah J. Maas book series. Of
Everyone's
course,
hot.
Everyone's hot.
Yeah, like, there's no other way around it. Like, no way.
Exactly, like...
Cheers. I mean, I love it. Like, why not? I mean, we're all hot. Everyone in the world is hot. We're all beautiful in our own different way, okay?
Sure.
What's that Selena Gomez song?
Who says you're not beautiful? Who says you're not worth it?
Who says you're the only one that's hurting? Trust me, you're so beauty.
Who says you're not pretty?
Who says you're not beautiful? Who says? Oh my gosh, I did not hear that song in ages. Okay, now, back to the book, right? Oh, sorry for our awful voices. Okay, yeah, so we've discussed a Robin and what happened with the guy that she murdered, and yeah, she was brainwashed. Yeah, I think, is there anything else that you want to add to that?
No, we can go to the last one, I believe.
Yeah, that was sad. Sam, like, justice for Sam. And the thing is that he kept repeating how he wants to leave and shit. You know, that's just so awful. Like, he wanted to fucking leave, but... Of course, they would leave together, and she ended up buying his freedom off as well by selling her horse. And, like, they were broke, and she likes the finer things in life, so he went to the pits, and he was fighting to get the money, and... This man is just such a sweetheart, and the moment, for example, when he told her he loves her, and, like, even... when he said, you know, that the messed up thing is that he knows that she would always choose a Robin, like, no matter what. And then she's like, no, silly, I would choose you. And she kissed him. And that was so cute. Her first kiss.
Yeah.
And you know what saddens me? That she never told him she loves him.
No,
she died never hearing those words.
Fuck. But then I fucking again, like, I do get her. Like,
I do too. I do too. And you know, I think that, you know, sometimes you have to remember that words are like the least important thing. You know, it's about the actions. And I think that with her behavior, she really showed Sam she loved him. I mean, they lived together. They had pillow talk. They probably did some other stuff too besides the kiss, like not all the way, but some stuff, you know, I think that they did talk a lot about things, and I think that he's a smart cookie. He realized that she loves him. She's just not capable of telling him that to the point. And I really do want to believe that when he died, he had that, you know, that he had that with him.
Yes, and like, yeah, I get it. Like, for some people, like, it's hard to put into words, you know, those sort of stuff.
I get it completely.
So I couldn't even be like mad at her for this particular thing. I was just like, of course she does, and of course it's like fucking hard. Like, of course it would be. But yeah, and I also enjoyed so much, like, the thing, like, they're the same age, right, by the way? Yeah.
No, he's 1 year older.
Okay, yeah. But, like, the thing I enjoyed so much is that when Selena, like, made it, like, pretty obvious that she's hiding some big secret, that there's, spoiler alert, guys, there's a big secret, something that she couldn't even, like, tell. Again, it's hard for her to tell things.
Yeah.
Sam understood, and he was like...
he was like, it's fine.
Yeah, like, I get it, like, it's not my place, it's not Arabin's place.
Ugh.
Just say it in your own time,
I mean,
and, like, I will, like, give you this time. Again, that, like, is such a mature thing, like,
What
such a
level,
mature perspective to have.
I mean, it's again so different. Like, when you grow up in the same circumstances, you can still go in a completely different direction, you know? Some people, they grow up in poverty, and then they, you know, really work hard to succeed and become better than that. Well, other people, the only option they see is basically to go down a criminal path, because that's everything that they've known, you know? It's similar here. They've grown up in similar circumstances, but they've just... One person matured because of it, while the other one actually just kind of consumed everything, all of their emotions, and just, like, became, as a result, it seems like she's immature, but in reality she's just, like, emotionally unstable, and she doesn't know how to deal with emotions. And I can also get that, because at her age I was also very emotionally cold. I would be very cold. I would never tell anyone I love them. So again, another thing that I understand, and I think that it's just important that you show people with your actions that you love them. That's the most important thing. And I think Sam knew. And I want to believe that. And, you know, another thing, I just wish he died a more peaceful death. Like, if he had to die, I wish, I don't know, it would be over quick. Like, someone snapped his neck and bye, you know?
Yeah.
But no, he had to be fucking tortured.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
Fuck. Like, at least I saw it coming. Like, at the fucking least, I saw it coming. I think even if I did not read the books before and, like, had this in the back of my mind, like, with the amount of times that they talked about leaving and setting up that perfect life, I was like, every time this happens, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it, bitch. Perfect life won't happen. And
I think that if I read this book without knowing, I think I would still be very naive, and I would be telling myself, but no, of course she's not gonna kill him, you know, she's not gonna go there. Yeah. Like, of course, they're probably just not gonna be able to escape, he'll probably get trapped, or she will, or something like that.
Yeah.
But no way death is, like, even an option. I think I would be lying to myself until the very end. And, like, even when a Robin came to her and he was like, you know, Sam's body is, like, there, whatever, and she was like, no, you know, no. And I would also be like, no, he's lying.
Oh no, totally. Until, like, you see.
Yeah, until you see it.
There's still, like, I mean, he's like a sneaky little bitch. Like, he'll lie to get whatever he wants, so...
Exactly.
Of course.
And it was so disgusting when she was, like, being taken to Endovir and stuff. And he had this, like, quote. So, why did you do it? Robin's attention drifted back to the wagon, already a small dot in the rolling foothills above Rifthold. Because I don't like sharing my belongings.
Yeah.
Bitch, she's a person, okay? She's not a belonging, but of course you wouldn't understand that concept.
Yeah, and if at any point anyone had doubt that maybe he does love her, maybe he's just a little bit cruel, but, like, at the end he loves her, like, no.
Yeah.
No.
And the thing is that he possibly cannot know if she'll survive that or not. You know, some people would say, yeah, but she survived, so he probably knew that she'll survive, and he just knows she's so good. But no, she literally survived because the king wanted her to survive so that she can, like, suffer as long as possible. You know, like...
Even everyone, like, all the guards, everyone in the castle, like, didn't even consider the salt mines as an option. Like, the option was, like, in which way she will be executed, not if she will be executed. Yeah. So no, Arabin knew full well that he is sending her to the execution. Like, it's a miracle that she wasn't, essentially. Exactly. So...
I think he just like realized that, you know, she kind of came out of his compulsion. You know, she's coming out of it. She's seeing things more clearly, and he can't control a person like that anymore. And if he can't control that person, like what use is she to him?
And she bought Sam off.
Yeah.
Like, he lost both of them.
Another asset,
Yeah.
right? So that was, so messed up.
Damn it. Yeah.
I want to note a few quotes that I really like. So, never get to see that half smile. Never get to hear his laugh. Never get to hear him say her name like it meant something special. Something more than being Adderland's assassin ever could. She didn't want to go out into a world where he didn't exist. So she watched the light shift and change and let the world pass by without her. And that's just so sad. And I think Sarah, like, she's really good at these kinds of descriptions. Like, after someone passes, like how the person that's still alive would never hear that and see that and speak to them again. Because that's essentially what death is. And it's so profound. And this, like, makes me want to cry right now, actually. And... you know, moments like this, when she was just happy, she felt that happiness for a second, like, Sam glanced at her, a hint of amusement shining in his eyes. Selena smiled at him, and the world, for one flickering heartbeat, felt right. And, you know, even another moment was with Ansel, and they were riding horses, and I don't have the quote, but she described it in a way that she felt happy or something, and that she'll probably never will feel like this again, you know.
Yeah, like no one else on the planet will have the same experience that she's having.
Yes, that. Yeah. Oh my gosh, look. Goosebumps right here.
Yeah, I love that feeling. Like, sometimes you do feel that, like...
yeah, you do. Yeah.
That's it, bitch. Like,
and like, just in those simple moments. Like, the other day, me and my friends, like, with Anya included, we were, like, hanging out and we were laughing and drinking. And, like, just in that second, I actually thought for a second there, like, this is such a good experience. And we were just laughing. And I just thought, wow. You know,
life is a movie.
Yeah, exactly. And I really felt like we're the stars in a movie, and it felt like that. And when she described this, it resonated me completely. Oh, I really like this moment when he said to her, I get scared too. You want to hear something ridiculous? Whenever I'm scared out of my wits, I tell myself, my name is Sam Cortland, and I will not be afraid. I've been doing it for years. And it's so cute because this... I mean, not a spoiler, but this comes up in the next books too. This is like her mantra. She just tells herself that she will not be afraid. And you know, like, it's a beautiful mantra, like, even if you don't know this story. But now that I know the story and how Sam explained it to her and taught her that, it's like even more profound. And now I know that when I reread Throne of Glass, it's gonna hit me so much harder.
Yeah, I forgot that this is where this came from. I do remember how important this quote is, but like, I forgot that it was Sam who taught her that, so yeah.
Another reason why this book should be read first.
Yep.
And this is a good point that the mute teacher made. If you can learn to endure pain, you can survive anything. Some people learn to embrace it, to love it. Some endure it through drowning it in sorrow or by making themselves forget. Others turn it into anger. And that's just what I mentioned before. Like, you can be raised in the same circumstance, but you just deal with it so differently. And yeah. And another and last one from me. She would tuck Sam into her heart. A bright light for her to take out whenever things were darkest. Bright light to take out when she needed the light, when things were dark. I mean, come on. Stop it.
You know, now we understand her a bit more. Like, everything that we learned, we can go into Throne of Glass a bit more prepared.
For sure.
For her.
Yeah.
And that's,
I'm especially curious about your opinion, you know, like how you'll now react to her.
Totally, yeah.
Right, after reading this first. If it's gonna be a different experience or not.
Exactly.
You know.
I am interested in this myself. Like, I know this is what past me would have wanted. I was like, I should have read this first, and now that I don't remember this series as much, I get to do what my past self wanted to do. So, hell yeah.
And it's so good that you don't remember it, because like I said, I reread it now in 2023, well, The Kingdom of Ash for the first time, and honestly, like, the first book I remember the most, but then the other ones, I just had like a blackout or something. It's like, what the fuck? I forgot so much. And it was like really a good experience because it was like reading it for the first time.
Yeah, we were using our memory loss privileges for good.
Oh my gosh, I never thought I would be grateful for memory loss, you know.
Damn it.
Bizarre.
Yeah. Okay, I do want to ask you one thing as a person who has read the series a bit later than me. And this might get cut out of the episode if it's too much of a spoiler, but she is dancing with that guy in the mask. That's right.
Yeah, it is. And it's so good because I'm like, oh my gosh, I know who this is, and this is such a good foreshadowing again. And like, guys, when you read this book, you have to remember this moment, okay? Please remember the guy she's dancing with for later books. That was a nice touch.
I knew I caught something. I knew that I caught something.
And the whole flirty banter, it's just so good. Like, even here it's good. I always love their banter in later books. I always love it. And like, also guys, this isn't like, obviously all of these characters in this book will be returning. You know, this isn't a spoiler, I think. You know, that's why they're here. Lysandra, Irene, Ansel, like Robin, like this is not the last time we've seen them. So, amazing. Like, I love that. Their introduction. It's great. And yeah, right? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I do think that we covered it.
Yeah, same. I think we did.
Yeah.
And this was such a fun discussion. I think we really went like even like into depth with our personal experience and everything, which is, I think, always interesting to listen to. And yeah, that's it. Thanks guys for listening. Follow us on social media, please. We post a lot there and it's a fun community, and you can, you know, text us anytime if you have your own opinions about this this series or this book specifically.
Yell at us if you think that a different reading order is correct. We will accept that.
For sure. And if you like want to hear anything in specific when we're going to be discussing the next books, like also let us know.
Yes.
And that's it for today.
Yes, and as for the next episodes, I do want to warn that, like, next week we will be traveling a little bit. I mean, she'll be traveling, then I will be traveling, so, you know, we'll be doing our best to both read books and record episodes and edit episodes. But, like, for the next few episodes of schedule, like, things are probably going to be a bit chaotic, but I think that we're both excited for Throne of Glass, so those episodes will be coming out.
Yeah, and that's like another reason why to follow us, because we will be posting when the episodes will be coming out. So if you want to be warned, like, or not, if you don't want to follow us, just subscribe so that you get a warning when the episode is out. And it also means a lot to us and to our community. And that's it.
Yay.
Okay, thanks guys for listening.
Bye.
Bye.